work on a solo album, tentatively titled Mad Shadows. However, Winwood ended up calling Wood and Capaldi to help with the session work, which prompted Traffic's comeback album, John Barleycorn Must Die. That was in 1970. Now, in 1972, Winwood recorded the part of Captain Walker in the highly successful orchestral version of The Who's Tommy rock opera. In 1976, he provided vocals and keyboards to Go, which was a concept album by Japanese composer Shomu Yamashita. So you can see that Winwood was always looking for the next challenge. I'm not going to say he had ADD, but it's kind of like, okay, we've been there, done that, time to move on, because he always wanted to do something different. About that time, he got tired of touring and recording, and that prompted Winwood to leave Traffic and retire to just session playing for a number of years. He just played with people, okay? A session musician. Now, under pressure from Island Records, he then resurfaced with a self-titled solo album in 1977. This was followed in 1980 with the hit Arc of a Diver, which included his first solo hit, While You See a Chance, and Taking Back the Night. That was in 82. Now, both albums were recorded at his home in Gloucestershire, with Winwood playing all the instruments. So a lot of times you'll hear, okay, this is so-and-so by Steve Winwood, or this is so-and-so by Dave Mason, okay? Now you know that it's just not him because there's people playing in the band. No. While You See a Chance and the Taking Back the Night album, or the Arc of the Diver album and Taking Back the Night, those were Steve Winwood. He sang all the songs, and he played every single instrument, kind of like Herb Alpert did back in the early days of the Tijuana Brass. Yeah, the Tijuana Brass, it wasn't Herb Alpert, the Tijuana Brass. It was Herb Alpert, who was the Tijuana Brass, played every single instrument and then mixed it. Winwood also continued to do sessions during this period also, and he also co-produced and played on Capaldi's number 40 hit, That's Love, and co-wrote the Will Powers top number hit, Kissing with Confidence. So he wasn't touring, but he was still writing, and he was still doing session musician acts, okay? Back in 1986, Winwood moved to New York, where he enlisted the help of an exclusive group of stars to record Back in the High Life in the U.S., and that album, too, was a hit. The hit from that album, Higher Love. Number one hit. Winwood's biggest hit of all times. He earned 2 Grammy Awards that year for Record of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Performance. Winwood embarked on an exclusive North American tour to support the album. Now, these albums, they were all released on Island Records, but again, Winwood wanted to change horses. At the peak of his commercial success, Winwood moved to Virgin Records and released Roll With It and Refugees of the Heart. Now, the album Roll With It and the title track hit number 1 in the U.S. album charts and the single charts also in 1988. Then he had another album with Virgin, Far From Home. It was originally credited to Traffic, but almost all the instruments were just played by Winwood. Now, despite lacking a significant hit, it broke the top 40, both in the UK and the US. Now, Winwood's final Virgin album, Junction 7, also broke the UK top 40. And then had a new studio album called 9 Lives. That was in 2008 with Columbia Records. The album opened at number 12, his highest U.S. debut ever. So people weren't tired of Steve Winwood. And this was 20 years after his big hit, okay? In 2008, he was awarded an honorary doctorate from Berklee College of Music. That adds to his honorary doctorate degrees from Ashton University in Birmingham. Back in 2012, Winwood was one of Roger Daltrey's special guests on An Evening with Roger Daltrey and Friends at the Royal Albert Hall. Now, in 2013, Winwood toured North America with Rod Stewart as part of the Live the Life tour. In 2014, he toured North America with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. In 2020, the North American Summer Tour was announced with Steely Dan. Now, Also in 2020, Winwood participated in a tribute to Ginger Baker, which took place at the Eventum Apollo Hammersmith. That's in London. Other participants, Ronnie Wood, Roger Walters, Eric Clapton. The concert was held in honor of Ginger Baker and his former band members in Blind Faith, who had died the previous year. Now, back in 1994, Capaldi and Winwood reunited Traffic for an album, Far From Home, and a tour, including a performance at Woodstock 94. Now, that same year, Winwood also appeared in a tribute to Curtis Mayfield, recording Mayfield's It's All Right. In 1919, Winwood released Reach for the Light, an animated film, and that's for the animated film Balto. He also released a new album, Junction 7, toured the U.S. with Chaka Khan at the VH1 and sang with Chaka Khan at the VH1 Honors. In 1998, Winwood performed with Tito Puente, Arturo Sandoval, and Ed Calle, and other musicians to form the band Latin Crossings for a European tour. Again, he just had to get into a different genre of music, Latino music. He then appeared in the film Blues Brothers 2000 as a member of the Louisiana Gator Boys. Now, who else was on stage with him? How about Isaac Hayes, Eric Clapton, and Coco Taylor? 2003, Winwood recorded a new studio album, About Time, on his new record label, Windcraft Music. So it was his. In 2004, Eric Prydz sampled Winwood's 1982 hit Valerie with the song Call on Me. Now, Winwood not only gave Eric his permission to sing the song, but he recorded samples for him to use. The remix spent 5 weeks on the #1 spot on the UK charts. So he was still doing it. Again, in a different way. Winwood continued to expand. Now, back in 2006, Christina Aguilera recorded her Back to Basics album. Steve Winwood was on it. He played piano and organ music from the John Barleycorn Must Die track Glad for her song Makes Me Want to Pray. In 2007, Winwood recorded a concert at Highclere Castle with Brian Ferry, Eric Clapton, Kenny Jones, and others. Highclere Castle? Yeah, you know it. That's where Downton Abbey was filmed. And then in 2007, Winwood performed with Clapton at Clapton's Crossroads Guitar Festival. Among the songs they played were Presence of the Lord and I Can't Find My Way Home from their Blind Faith days. Winwood also played several guitar leads during a 6-song set. Now, Clapton and Winwood continued their collaboration for 3 sold-out nights at Madison Square Garden back in 2008. Earlier in 2008, Winwood and Clapton released a collaborative EP through iTunes called Dirty City. Clapton and Winwood released a CD and a DVD of their Madison Square Garden shows and then toured again in 2009. Now, where does Steve Winwood live? Because we mentioned he records at home because he's kind of a homebody. He lives in a 300-year-old manor in Cotsworth, England. Okay, that's where his recording studio is. He also has a home in Music City, USA, Nashville, where he lives with his wife, Eugenia. They have 4 children, and one of his children, Winwood's daughter, Lily Winwood, she's a singer, was also featured with him performing a duet of his song Higher Love in a Hershey's commercial. Yeah, you've all seen it. She was also his opening act and sang backup on multiple songs during her father's 2018 Greatest Hits Live Tour, which the Trophy and I wife and I were fortunate to see. It was funny because she came on, sang as the opening act, an unannounced opening act. And you think, who is this gal? Who's she sleeping with to get this type of exposure? Well, she's Steve Winwood's daughter, so that's how she got it, I guess. Now, do you know more about Steve Winwood than you knew before? I have to think you did. And Steve Winwood really, okay, Higher Love, If You See a Chance, everybody knows those songs. But that was what got me to pay attention to Steve Winwood. I thought, wait a minute, as long as he's been around, as much as he's done, he's only 73. Well, again, because he started playing musical instruments at age 4. He started playing in bands for money at age 8. He was with the Spencer Davis Group writing and singing popular songs at age 14. That's why Steve Winwood is younger than most rockers, because he started when most of us were still in grade school. The Steve Winwood you never knew. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you like the podcast, good for you. Let me know. Tell your friends. Share the podcast. Or if you don't want to go and download it every time, you can always send me an email. But then you know that. JamesStrongShow@hotmail.com. That's the email address. Send me your email address, and I will send you a link to the podcast that you can download and listen to at your leisure upon publication. That's it. I'm done. Until next time, this is James Strong saying adios.